The air in the marble and brass lobby was frigid, a sterile cold that seeped into bones. Malik stood on the polished floor, feeling the grit of the sidewalk under the thin soles of his shoes. They were old. The leather cracked like dried earth. The laces knotted in places where they'd snapped. He focused on the line, on the orderly progression of people in crisp suits and smart heels. His jeans were clean but faded, his hoodie a shield against more than the AC. He was 17, and he held a single, creased deposit slip like a lifeline. The line moved. When it was his turn, he approached the teller, a woman with a tight smile. He spoke softly. "I'd like to check my account balance, please, and get a statement." She took his slip, her eyes doing a quick, automatic sweep from his head to his feet. The smile didn't reach her eyes. "One moment," she typed. A flicker of something confusion perhaps crossed her face. She typed again, slower. Then she looked up. The professional veneer now brittle. "I'll need to get the manager for this. Have a seat over there, please." Not a question, an instruction. Malik sat in a plush chair that swallowed his slight frame, facing a large, imposing oak desk. He waited. The low hum of finance, the click of keyboards, the scent of lemon polish and anxiety. Then he entered. Mr. Edgarton, mid-40s, a suit that costs more than a used car, a voice that carried without needing to shout. He didn't walk to Malik. He processed, a clipboard in hand, a frown of profound inconvenience etched on his face. He didn't sit. He loomed. "Young man," Edgarton began, his voice a theatrical sigh meant for an audience. A few customers glanced over. "Teller says you have a balance inquiry. On this account?" He held up the deposit slip between two fingers, as if it were soiled. "Yes, sir," Malik said, his voice steady but quiet, a dry chuckle. "You understand this is a private banking establishment, not a playground." His eyes landed, purposefully, on Malik's shoes. The cracked leather, the frayed knots, the silence that followed was heavy, a vacuum where dignity was supposed to be. A woman looking at loan papers looked down, ashamed for him. Edgarton's smile was a thin, cruel line. "Let's not waste time. These old accounts, sometimes kids find a slip, think they can come in and play games. Where are your parents? Did they send you here?" He leaned forward, planting his palms on the desk, invading the space. "What's really in this account, son?" $1.50. Malik met his gaze. He didn't flinch. "It's my account. I just want my statement." The laugh that came from Edgarton then wasn't a chuckle. It was a sharp, barking sound of genuine amusement, loud enough to draw every eye in the section. It was the sound of power enjoying its own cruelty. "Your account? Right." He straightened up, addressing the room now, a performer with a captive audience. "Probably saving up for new sneakers, huh? I tell you what, I'll humor you. I'll print the statement myself, and we'll see just what fortune you've got hiding in here." He turned with a flourish, marching toward the glass-walled office where the senior managers worked. Malik sat perfectly still, a statue in the plush chair, watching him go. The hum of the bank seemed to mute, every ear tuned to the spectacle. Edgarton disappeared into the office, the door clicking shut behind him. Through the glass, they could see him swagger to the computer, still shaking his head with a condescending smile. He tapped the keyboard, leaning in to read the screen, and then the performance froze. Inside the office, the color drained from Mr. Edgarton's face. It was not a slow fade, but a sudden vacuum, leaving his skin a waxy gray. His confident posture collapsed. His shoulders hunched forward as if punched in the gut. His lips, which seconds ago had been twisted in mirth, now moved silently, forming numbers, disbelieving words. He blinked rapidly, leaned closer, then stumbled back a half step, his hand groping for the edge of the desk. In the lobby, Malik waited. He didn't smile. He didn't fidget. He simply watched. The other customers, sensing a seismic shift, began to whisper. The teller who had first helped Malik stared, her hand over her mouth. Edgarton's head snapped up. His eyes, wide with a primal panic, found Malik through the glass. The boy's calm, unwavering stare seemed to pierce him. The manager looked down at the screen again, then at the printer, as it whirred to life. A single page slid out. He snatched it, his hands visibly trembling. The numbers on the page weren't just large. They were of a magnitude that belonged to vaults, to offshore trusts, not to a deposit slip in a teenager's hand. He remembered his own voice, echoing in the lobby. $1.50. The memory seemed to physically sting him. He had crossed a line, not just of professionalism, but of humanity, and he had done it publicly, with gusto. And now the proof was in his shaking hands. This wasn't a mistake. The account name was clear. The beneficiary was clear. The trust documentation, linked and flagged on the screen, was overwhelming. This quiet boy in the worn-out shoes didn't just have an account. He owned a stake in the very building Edgarton stood in. The manager's mind raced through the consequences. The federal trust laws, the minority shareholder reports, the lawsuit for public defamation and harassment that was now not just possible, but devastatingly likely. His career, his reputation, his six-figure salary, all of it evaporated in the face of that one printed page. He had tried to crush a butterfly with a sledgehammer, only to discover the butterfly was made of titanium, and the sledgehammer was now poised above his own head. The door to the office opened. The sound was a soft click, but in the dead quiet of the lobby, it was a gunshot. Every head turned. Mr. Edgarton emerged. The swagger was gone. He moved like a man walking to his own execution, the single sheet of paper held before him like a death warrant. His polished shoes made no sound on the marble. His journey back to the oak desk felt endless, a walk of shame under the silent, watching eyes of the people he had minutes ago entertained. He stopped in front of Malik, who slowly stood up, meeting him at eye level. Edgarton opened his mouth, but no sound came out. He swallowed, a dry, painful click in his throat. He tried again, his voice a broken whisper, stripped of all its former authority. Mr. Williams, I don't know what to say. Malik took the statement from his limp fingers. He didn't look at it. He already knew what it said. The money wasn't for sneakers. It was an inheritance from a grandfather who had worked 3 jobs, a trust fund with strict instructions for education, for a foundation, for a future no one could take away. It was meant to be invisible armor. Until now, you were saying something about playgrounds, Malik said, his voice still quiet, but it carried in the absolute silence. It wasn't a question. It was a simple, factual echo. The manager flinched as if struck. It was a terrible error, a complete misunderstanding. Please, if there's any way. But the universe had already begun to correct the imbalance. The main entrance doors swung open. 2 people entered, a severe-looking woman in a tailored suit, the regional director whose photo was on the lobby wall, and a man Malik recognized as court-appointed financial guardian. A stern-faced attorney named Mr. Vance Day had been alerted by the trust's activity. Flag a large balance inquiry followed by a manager override. They moved with grim purpose. The regional director went straight to my office. Now. The 3 words were ice. Edgarton, reduced to a nod, shuffled after her, not daring a final glance at Malik. Mr. Vance approached, his expression softening only a fraction. Malik, are you all right? I am now, Malik said, finally looking down at the statement. Then he did something unexpected. He walked to the teller who had first helped him. She looked terrified. He spoke gently. I'd still like to complete my transaction, please, and I'd like you to handle it. Behind them, through the glass, they could see the regional director on the phone, her face thunderous, while Edgarton sat collapsed in a chair, his head in his hands. The spectacle was over. The power had not just shifted, it had been revealed for the illusion it always was. Malik finished his business, receiving a crisp printed statement and a respectful nod. As he turned to leave, the entire lobby watched him go, not with pity, but with a dawning, uncomfortable respect. He pushed through the heavy doors, back into the warmth of the afternoon sun. The story isn't about the money. It's about the moment a person decides your worth without seeing your soul. It's about the armor of dignity, worn quietly by those the world tries to render invisible. That man in the office? He didn't lose his job because a kid was rich. He lost it because he was poor in character. He measured a human being by the soles of his shoes and found himself standing on the brink of his own ruin. Remember that. The next time you are quick to judge, to laugh, to dismiss, remember Malik, and ask yourself, what is it that you truly cannot afford to lose?